is Jessyca Lewis. I am in Eugene, Oregon, and Johline is near Cape Town and Stellenbosch. And do you want to tell us where you are exactly?
Hi, Jessyca.
Hi.
Morning. It's great to be here. I stay in Somerset West, which is just outside Stellenbosch, close to Cape Town. We're surrounded by the beautiful Helderberg Mountains and also amazing wines. And I represent Van Lufen Wine Cellar, a family-owned winery, actually one of the larger flowers from where I'm sitting right now, and that's in the Robertson Valley, which is known for fantastic limestone soils and wines, of course.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful. So, okay, what time is it where you are now?
It's now about 6:30 or 6:20 p.m. going into the weekend.
6:30 or 6:20 p.m. Okay, and here it is about 9:20 a.m. So we've got a 9-hour time change, I believe. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the broadcast, and then we will go straight into Joline's work history and her career, as well as her work with Van Loveren. Is it Van Loveren brands? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, that's quite right.
Okay. Okay, Time to Wine is a live broadcast that features experts in wine, social media marketing, and leadership. It is 9 a.m. the second and the fourth Monday of the month. And the second broadcast is live interviews featured on Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which has been bi-monthly, which now is every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have been approved for LinkedIn Live, and we have a live broadcast that has an interactive audience, so we can interact with audiences all over the world. That is on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live, as well as on the other broadcast is on Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, so without further ado, we'll talk about with Johline. And Johline Barnhart is close to Cape Town in Somerset West, and she is responsible for the management and business development of the Van Loveren brands in the USA, Canada, South America, and the Caribbean islands. So let's talk a little bit about your work history.
So thanks, Jessyca. I think a good place to start is that I have had a passion for nature and science my whole life, and I went for aptitude tests after school or towards the end of school as to what to study, and was said that I should become a doctor. But since I'm a bit squeamish for blood and don't like people in pain, then I decided let's rather go. Then they directed me towards winemaking. And since my father has also been in the wine industry for most of my life, that was quite natural. So I studied a BSc in winemaking, specializing in chemistry at Stellenbosch University. And that was between 2004 to 2008. And thereafter, one of my good friends, Nikki Vineyards, she's actually in California herself, and myself, we hit the road. We were fortunate to get a job in New Zealand. So we went to New Zealand to South Pacific Cellars in Marlborough, put on our cellar boots and made some Sauvignon Blanc primarily for 4 months. Also had the privilege of traveling most of New Zealand and tasting some amazing wines in Central Otago, Hawke's Bay, etc. Absolutely delightful. And then from there, we did a quick stop back in South Africa. And then we made our way to California for a harvest in the Northern Hemisphere. And we were fortunate to get a job with Kendall Jackson Vineyards. And we worked at the Stone Street cellar outside Healdsburg. Made some fantastic Chardonnay and Cabernet and really, really lovely wines. And it was a privilege to see most of California while I was there and also be exposed to those beautiful flavors that one can taste in the Napa and Sonoma valleys. Then
that sounds so wonderful.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, wonderful memories. 2009, definitely. I'm going to find it hard to find another year which was as great with all the travels and the winemaking. Anyway, then I came back to South Africa, did another vintage at Warwick Wine Estate, which is a lovely leading family. Oh no, it used to be family owned, was since changed hands also to a Californian company. And thereafter, I decided that now it's time to pursue what I was actually after, which was my intention of why I studied winemaking, is to get into the experience of marketing wine, selling wine, talking wine, living wine, traveling wine, all of that. But then I went back to university. Then I went to the business school of Cape Town, Gibbs, and I studied wine business management, which is a postgraduate diploma for 2 years. Then I was fortunate to get a job at Vergenoegd Wine Estate as a marketing and salesperson. And then from there, I went to a couple of other wineries, including Vergelegen, doing some local sales, international sales, social media management, also a bit of packaging, branding, all of that. And then in 2015, I was hungry to get into the export market, and Van Loveren was recruiting 3 positions, 1 person for the Americas, 1 person for the UK and Europe and Russia, that area, and then another person for the East, essentially. And I was fortunate to get the job for the Americas. And I had not sold a bottle of wine to America before then, so it was quite a journey learning how the 3-tier system works. And it also, Van Loveren also helped to get me to America at least 4 or 5 times a year before COVID. And it's been one hell of a growth curve, amazing journey, stunning people, and slowly but surely we are growing our brands. We are getting some wine into America, and so that's where I am now.
Well, you have such a fabulous career. So let's talk about your work with Van Loveren. And I know you're working with the Caribbean islands, Brazil, and Canada. So, and then let's talk about the brands that you represent as well.
So we've got 20 different brands. We sell over 120 different wines, so we're definitely a go-to. And I'd say the joy of working with a company like Van Loveren is that the directors, the cousins, they are very much open for an opportunity, and also like to make sure that we have something to offer for every market. Just going back into a bit of history, so Van Loveren was established in 1937 by Henry Retief Sr., and then his 2 sons, his 2 sons, Niku and Wynand, they took over as the 2nd generation, and now the 3rd generation, the 4 cousins, are running the company. And they've just there's been a commitment to growth throughout the generations, and nothing is too much, and it's always looking for solutions. And this is what's led us to have completely iconic fine wines that can stand up with the rest. Fantastic sparkling wines, MCC. We've got very approachable, everyday drinking wines, basically the Barefoots of South Africa, the 4 Cousins brand, largest family-owned brand in South Africa. Then we've got our Van Loveren heritage range, which we are exceptionally proud of. And there we've got practically every varietal in the more modern varietals, the French varietals, ranging from Gewürztraminer to Chenin Blanc to Pinot Noir to Cabernet Sauvignon to Sauvignon Blanc, covering that spectrum. And this allows the customer to experience varietal wines true to a varietal characteristics at an approachable price point, Then we've also got the Rhino Run range, which is our organic wine. Very, very exciting to have an organic wine in our portfolio. Then we've got the Tangled Tree range, which is we packaged in a PET bottle. So it is very, very kind to the environment with light shipping freight because it's not as heavy. And also, very, very easily recyclable, etc. Tree-free paper used for the labels. Then we've also got a large variety of bag and box wines. Last year alone, we released 11 new bag and box wines since the COVID trend also emerged that people are buying slightly bigger quantities to not have to go to the supermarkets as often, for instance. So we've opened up that. And then very, very exciting, we've also got the low alcohol wines, the Four Cousins Skinny, which is 8.4%, so it goes in at 8% alcohol. Tastes like a full strength wine, and it's just not got as much alcohol and calories for health conscious consumers. And then also our almost zero and our absolute zero, which is de-alkalized wines. So these wines were Sauvignon Blanc first, or are still Sauvignon Blanc grape, essentially, going through the full fermentation process. And then thereafter, only the alcohol component is extracted out of these wines. So this leaves you with a full flavor spectrum of the Sauvignon Blanc, for instance, or the Merlot. And the joy of being able to drink a glass of wine without needing to worry about being pulled over by the cops because you're over the limit, or you're having a lunch date and you want to still stay fresh when you go back to the office, and all of that. So, lots to taste. Please come visit.
Yes, it sounds wonderful too. So, did you have a video you wanted to share too about the company?
Let's go. Okay. If you just hope this works.
Okay. It was working a few minutes ago.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Ready. Enjoy.
Is it ready? I don't have it on my side.
It's coming now.
Okay, coming now. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
There is a place where nature meets patience, where the earth bursts out into a chorus of beauty, unspoiled by the passage of time. In 1937, in the Breda River Valley between Robertson and legacy was born. And today, a proud heritage thrives in the hearts and souls of those who savor its bounty. Loveren. The Loveren family vineyards are set in the Robertson Valley of the Cape Winelands, South Africa. Acquired by Henny Retief Sr. in 1937, the farm was a mere 22 hectares in size. The second generation, Wynand and Nico Retief, joined their father in the early 1960s. 1980 marked a new era. The Retief family started bottling their own wine under the Loveren brand that has since become a household name. By 1998, both Wynand and Nico's sons had joined the family business. All four of the cousins are involved in the business as executive directors. Henny and Neil are the viticulturists, ensuring top quality grapes for Basil, the cellar master, while Philip is the managing director. These two sets of brothers were immortalized with the launch of the brand Four Cousins in 2000. Since then, it became the top-selling brand in 1.5-liter format in South Africa. Today, Loveren Family Vineyards is South Africa's leading family-owned winery, producing up to 17,000 tons of grapes and selling 2 million 9-liter cases annually. Brands include the premium Christina range, the eco-friendly Tangled Tree range, and of course, the renowned Loveren and Four Cousins ranges, to name but a few. To diversify and extend its product offering, brand extensions to the cream liqueur, craft beer, and ready-to-drink categories were made. Van Luferen's strength in the local market laid the foundation to successful expansion to the international market, currently exporting to 60 countries worldwide. To acknowledge the role of its own people and community in Van Luferen's success, the company forged a broad-based empowerment partnership in 2004. Together with 116 of its staff and pensioners, the company purchased a 130-hectare grape farm in the Duguri district of the Robertson Wine Valley. Sales of the Fives Reserve range support the Van Luferen family community. Following the success of its first empowerment venture, Van Luferen has since concluded another 2 empowerment partnerships with significant potential value to its shareholders and beneficiaries. Van Luferen holds a Vita accreditation, which is awarded for uplifting social and labor standards in the South African wine industry. Fair Trade accreditation also allows for a premium on the grapes and wine sold to be invested back into community upliftment projects. In 2012, based on the criteria of growth, innovation and development, Van Luferen was chosen as the national winner of the South African Farmer of the Year from all agricultural sectors. Van Luferen is also a proud member of the Biodiversity and Wine Initiative, minimizing the further loss of threatened natural habitat and contributing to sustainable wine production. In fact, over 1,000 hectares of the company's land has been set aside to conserve the biodiversity of the farm. With the future firmly in mind, Van Luferen's vision remains steadfast, rooted in South Africa through the company's firmly entrenched pillars of innovation and progress. Van Luferen, good times with a good wine.
Here we go.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just, there we go. We're back. So, okay, now we're talking about your wine brands, and let's get into this fun, exciting past 2 years we've been in with the global pandemic, as well as the alcohol ban in South Africa, which has then appears to have led to a lot of innovation and in entrepreneurship behind the scenes with the alcohol ban. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, no, I must say it came as a complete shock to us when the alcohol was banned in South Africa. Like, nobody actually saw it coming. Nobody anticipated it. I remember I was sitting with my boss and my colleagues, and we were just waiting because the hard lockdown was kicking in the next day, and we needed to just strategize of how we're going to stay in touch if we can't see each other. And business as usual, although we're going to be stuck in our homes for 5 weeks, for instance, working from home office setup. And then that night, boom, there, alcohol is banned. We were still thinking, okay, we'll probably still be able to sell wines in the supermarkets, or, we expected a little bit of limiting of interaction socially in restaurants, for instance, but we did not expect our local supermarkets to not sell wine anymore. So anyway, so when that happened, it was like, all right, now we need to make a plan. But fortunately, about a year before that, we released our Almost Zero brand, which was blessing in disguise. I mean, as I said, nobody saw this coming, but then fortunately we were still able to sell the Almost Zero and the Absolute Zero with a very, very low 0.3% alcohol, which is fruit juice has more alcohol in that, for instance. So we were able to sell that in our retailers, and people that were desperate to get hold of something similar to wine, since we can't sell wine or purchase wine, tried the Almost Zero, and we saw immense success of the sales. And this also opened up a whole new category by default, So and then also after the ban was lifted, then the Almost Zero sales continued, for instance, for people that don't drink for health reasons, religious reasons, and then also pregnant women and so on. But yeah, we learned to be very innovative very quickly, and we were also exceptionally grateful for our strong contacts in the export markets in this time. And although the the borders were closed for about 3 weeks or for a short time to export, we were supported fantastically from all of our importers that had a lot of sympathy for the situation, and that we were actually still finishing harvest, and we still had some grapes on the vines, and they really felt for us in this time. So yeah, so we got through because of our export sales and also our low alcohol and no alcohol wines that we were allowed to sell in the time.
Well, and then I know there was coffee being sold behind the scenes a little bit too there at the beginning when everyone was kind of going, "Oh my gosh, what happened here?" So, and the low alcohol wines sound, from what I'm seeing in the wine industry, there is a big niche for low alcohol wines, vegan wines, organic, also low calorie. So, from the packaging is fabulous. Do you want to talk a little bit about how the packaging is different?
Yes, I also think that the consumer is looking for a sophisticated bottle to present on the dinner table, which still has the appeal of a wine bottle. However, it's still important to communicate with that same consumer that this is a very much part of the better for you category, and also part of the sustainable, kind to the environment, all of those, checking those boxes as well. So we use subtle messaging on the packaging, 100% vegan and also lower calories. And then we've also got these beautiful or very good neck tags that we put onto the bottles that are self-explanatory, saying that I think it's that you need to drink 36 glasses of almost zero to get to the same alcohol content of one normal 12 fluid ounce glass of wine. So just communicating that it is indeed is very, very low alcohol. And also the calories, because wine does have a lot of calories in due to the alcohol. So as soon as you take the alcohol out, then it automatically becomes a much lighter drink calorie-wise and also sugar-wise. So we use very nice infographics to communicate that, and it's been successful.
Yeah, you have beautiful photos. So one thing I wanted to ask, I know there was a little bit of an issue with if it doesn't have enough alcohol, then it can't be labeled as wine. So what's the percentage of alcohol that it has to have to be labeled as wine as opposed to being a fruit juice?
Above 1% in South Africa.
1%, and then you can actually label it as wine. Okay.
In the US, it's below 7%, if I'm not mistaken. But I know, for instance, our low alcohol wines, which are our 8.5% strength wines and 8% strength wines, could not be sold in the alcohol ban. So anything below 1%, I'm speaking under correction, but something like that.
Okay, anything under 1%. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, you've been traveling to Havana, Cuba for South Africa export marketing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is our government's got a body called the Department of Trade and Industry, and pre-COVID, and I'm sure that once we've all got our vaccinations and our travel passports again, they've been exceptionally helpful in helping smaller companies, like, for instance, minority-owned companies or women-owned companies, or companies that necessarily don't have the funding to go overseas to go and promote your products, as well as companies that have very, very exciting products that believe that they believe there'll be great potential and opportunity to stimulate the exports and also the bilateral trade between various countries, also just putting awareness to the South African products. So they put together a mission to go to Cuba because we've got strong ties with Cuba. Unfortunately, Van Lufen or De Goeie Farming was selected that we can go to Cuba and also go and enter into negotiations with potential companies, and mainly also just learn how it works, to sell wine to Cuba. And so it was very, very interesting, and it was fascinating to see Havana and Cuba and just experience the music, the culture, the daiquiris, everything that goes with it.
I love that too. And I think for many, many years, people from the United States were not able to visit. And I think it's been a little bit, it's open, or you can travel from Brazil to, if I'm in Brazil, I can go to Havana and visit. So, okay. So we've got about 5 minutes here. So let's talk a little bit about your husband, Franz, and Snuffles.
Yeah, so Franz works for a company called ROGZ, ROGZ, which is a pet fashion leader, and they make the most beautiful beds and very, very functional leashes and harnesses and toys for animals. So we used part of our the money that we received for wedding presents. Some of our guests gave us some money rather than a gift. So then we used a portion of that money to pay our dog, Snuffles. So Snuffles has been very, very lucky to come into a household with a husband that works for a company that sells these pet gear. So he's got a very comfortable bed and nice toys and very spoiled. Yeah. Yes.
Very, very fancy, high-end pet bedding and all kinds of things. So lucky for Snuffles. Okay, so let's talk about things to see and do in South Africa.
So I saw.
Okay.
Our borders are open. We are ready to welcome guests from America, and there's a direct flight, I believe, from Atlanta to Johannesburg and New York to Johannesburg. It's about a 15-hour flight. I've sat on it a few times. It sounds really long, but once you add some wine and some food and some chatting and some movies, it goes over quite quickly. But once you get to South Africa, I mean, our beaches are stunning. And then we've got our wine. So make sure you put out at least a week to drink some wine. And then also, hopefully, it's summer. And then also spend some time at the ocean, along the beaches. And then we've also got fantastic wildlife to experience, to go on a safari and go and be out in the bush and see some of these beautiful animals, especially the rhino, since one of our brands, the Rhino Run, also spends a lot of money to protect the rhino, because the rhino species is pretty under pressure with some poaching. So very, very exciting to come and see the animals, drink the wine, come and lie at the pool, lie at the ocean, and enjoy the sunshine.
That sounds so wonderful. Okay, well, we'll go ahead. So why don't you talk about how do people find you? If they want to reach out to you about South African wines or Almost Zero or Skinny, or to contact you, how do they reach you? Oh gosh, I have your thing here where they can reach you right there.
They can, they can send me an email, or they can send me a text, or or even just pop me a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Yeah, so all of those are options.
Okay.
Or they can ask how to get hold of me.
Yes, or have you? Because I'd love to see you in the United States. I live above. Do you know where Oregon is? Above California.
Yeah.
In the Oregon wine area in the Willamette Valley. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end the broadcast here, and then I'll post a little end here for us, and then we will close out. So nice to talk to you, and I'll talk to you here on the other side. Okay, bye.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.